So, good evening, everyone. Very fascinating topic to talk to you about today, which is financial literacy. I have traveled the long road of financial ignorance to financial disasters to now being financially educated. I will take you through all of these phases and I will also explain why, as women, it is absolutely crucial to be financially literate. You see, from the outside, it may seem like I'm a sorted female entrepreneur with a great corporate career behind me. However, I only focused all these years on growing in my career, but not growing my finances. And like many of you, I thought that increase in salary equals to increase in wealth. And that's absolutely wrong. Till the day you are working for a salary or you're working for money, basically, you are not financially free. And that is why I will take you through why we need to kind of reprogram and rewire our brain to become passionate about the financial world and building wealth. I also noticed that while I was working in a multinational corporation, there were no conversations about becoming financially free or about how women should build their wealth. So you sit back and enjoy as I take you through a very adventurous 20s. So, stage one, my financial ignorance. I will start with a small story which goes back to 12 years ago when I was working in Bombay and it was my first job. I was working very hard. I had a colleague who was at the exact same designation as me. And during one of the many days when we were just having a normal banter, and she mentioned something very fleetingly, and that still remains in my head till date. She told me that on the advice of her mother, fees 10,000 get automatically debited from her salary account every month. Now, me being a 21-year-old Delhi girl who's in Bombay, like tasting freedom for the first time, I absolutely shrugged it off. The concept of SIP didn't even register to me. But this is just at an average of 12% return. If she continued putting in that 10,000, today she would be sitting at a very cool 32 lakh. So, Anaga, if you're listening to this conversation today, I'm sorry, our auntie was absolutely right. I should have listened to you. And coming back to why this was financial ignorance, because I missed out on a great opportunity. And moreover, as women, when we begin our careers, obviously salaries are less and our wish list is very long. So I did something what any wise 21-year-old girl would do. I moved to Bandra and I started paying even more rent. And I wish back then I knew that even 5,000 rupees kept aside would help me still live my Bandra dream life, but I also would be growing in parallel my wealth. So now let's move on to my financial disasters. I was growing in my career now and my salary was increasing exponentially, but I still hadn't started investing then. Instead, I fell into the rabbit hole of increasing and upgrading my lifestyle and living paycheck to paycheck. I was spending like atrocious amounts of money on eating out every day, shopping, traveling a lot. And of course, I'm very passionate about traveling. But if I had known that I can budget it better, by the power of financial planning and allocation, I could still do these things, but I would obviously be able to build wealth too. And that is my biggest regret. Because when it comes to the matter of finances, it is not better late than never. In matter of finances, it is do it now or regret later. So when did my financial education really begin? I moved back to Delhi in 2015 and I had no rent to pay. But I realized that I cannot be dependent on my salary for the rest of my life because that's not sustainable at all. So I started this complex journey of reading up, speaking to experts, going online, talking to other people around me, and of course, making a lot of mistakes. So one of the most hilarious mistakes which I've shared with you is back in 2018, I jumped on this get rich quick scheme, which I heard about, and I jumped on the craze of crypto and I spent 30,000 rupees and bought 2% of a Bitcoin. And I thought, bus, sure, short millionaire. But obviously, nothing of that happens. If I had financial literacy, I knew that such highly volatile assets do not make you a millionaire. In fact, good dedication, discipline, and consistency in investing, and of course, allocating in more low risk assets also helps in securing your future. But was I really unique when it came to this thirst for knowledge about the financial world? Turns out I'm not. In fact, in 2024, which is literally now, a recent survey suggests that 86% of working Indian women don't have adequate financial skills but want to learn them. 86%, that's a huge number. While the numbers are alarming, it really does make sense, because if we go back to our childhood, you see that the way girls are brought up and the way boys are brought up is completely different. Boys are brought up saying that they will be valuable if they can support their family. And for women, no such condition is there. However, in the current scenario, it is girls who are not only taking care of themselves, but also shouldering responsibilities of their family. However, the gap of knowledge is still so wide. And that brings me to my next point, which is that we still don't understand the difference between financial independence and financial freedom. See, I've been financially independent since I was 21 when I stopped taking money from my father. I was taking care of my own expenditures, but I was still dependent on a salary to take care of my expenditures. Financial freedom, on the other hand, means I don't need to depend on a salary. And in fact, I don't need to work for money at all. Financial freedom actually gives me the opportunity to live my life the way I want to, give me more time at hand. And there are a lot of benefits of having financial freedom, especially for women. Some of the advantages for women are that you don't need to depend on anyone to take care of you. And, looking at other things like you can take care of your children's education, you can take care of your family, and other more sensitive topics like you can step out of an abusive marriage, because a lot of times women are dependent on their husbands for money and they cannot step out because of the financial obligation involved. And then she can take such a call if she is financially free. So now what did I do? The 25-year-old Richa who had no financial literacy. Now, again, this is highly oversimplified just for the sake of the talk, but I will take you through it. I was 25. I was 4 years into my corporate career. This was the year 2015, and I was earning a monthly salary of 50,000. Now, as you can see, 40% of my salary was just going into impulse purchases and socializing and eating out. Utter waste. The other 40% I was putting in traveling. Travel. However, I don't regret this because I really do enjoy traveling. However, I could have planned for this better and still build some wealth. And the other 20% is just bills and utilities, which is, normal. What would I do differently if I was financially literate at 25? Before doing anything, I would first start an emergency fund. I'm sure after the pandemic, we all have seen that there have been so many layoffs. First thing you need to do is make yourself secure financially. Have at least 3 months of your salary in a savings account separately, which is quickly accessible to you. As you grow older in age and as your salary increases, I would recommend to make this amount 6 months to 1 year. But as I was 20, it was 3 months. So the corpus needs to be there ready. And once you have that ready, then we move on to the next step. So now you can see I am 25-year-old Richa with obviously financial knowledge. My salary is the same, 50,000. I have no rent to pay. So now my bills and utilities, of course, still stay the same. Mobile phone, any transportation, any other subscriptions, etc. What I did do is that I cut down on my socializing, which was just 14%. I cut down on my shopping because I was not much of a shopper either ways. And that was a discipline I needed to bring in, that I stopped my impulsive shopping. I still retained my travel. From 40%, it became 15%. But I did it more mindfully and I still build, a network for my travel. Here, I would like to bring your notice to the SIP and PPF. Now, I already had a Provident Fund account, but it was lying dormant. Now, the reason why I recommend that over an FD is because we all know that, an inflation will eat FD for breakfast because it is that bad, right? Like the interest rate is not that good. But PPF, on the other hand, because it has a 15-year lock-in and gives you tax benefits, it is, of course, a much better bet with a higher yield. So I put 30% of my income every month with SIP and PPF together aside for my wealth growing. And here again, medical insurance. I was covered by my offices wherever I was working. But this is where we make a fault, right? When we are young, that we think we don't need medical insurance. In fact, when you're young, your premium is the least. And you can actually start off at a very, very low premium amount. As you grow older and when you actually need medical insurance, which is your late 40s, 50s, etc., that time the premium is very, very high. So you can take advantage of this low premium and it will marginally increase over time, which will still be a lot better than starting late. So I will also bring your notice to what I did. I didn't put a full chunk of SIP into one particular fund. SIP, as we all know, is a systematic investment program. It is a structured way to invest in mutual funds, and I spread it across equity, debt, and hybrid. Now, of course, equity is directly connected to the stock market, debt is connected to government bonds, and hybrid is a mix of both. Now, debt is slightly more secure and equity is slightly more volatile. Here, I'd like to just clarify that, of course, there is the stock market and you can trade. But I was working full time and it was a very hectic job. So I didn't have the time to trade every day and read up and manage that. So I chose a more safer option, which was SIP. You can do whatever you like. If that is something of interest to you, go for it. I chose that. So now, how do we reprogram our brain for investment? The whole point is not telling you, tips and tricks on what you can do. There is a host of information online for it. What I'm trying to do as, women, we need to inculcate the habit where we are passionate about building our wealth. Because we as women are actually hardwired to be risk averse. So you need to build confidence, and that confidence will be built when you increase your knowledge and you actually passionately are kind of pursuing this. What is step one? Step one is you should every day without fail read 20 minutes on a finance book. You can start easy. Two of my favorite books were actually Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and the second one was Psychology of Money. Now, in Rich Dad and Poor Dad, the author talks about why you should invest more in assets that actually, build your money worth instead of, investing into liabilities which, depreciate your worth. And in Psychology of Money, it's about our behavioral aspects on how, we have blocks of money within our psychology created and how we can, kind of remove them. The second one, and a very important one, is unfollow every influencer that you have on your social feed who is not relatable, who is making you feel bad about your life. Just detox. What you need to do is read up and pick just 5 good investment, informative, led pages, which gives you, daily news about financial tools and tricks and stuff like that, and follow. Now, the third one, investment clubs. Tell me this, how many times have you seen a group of women actually meet regularly to discuss stocks? We haven't, right? And we almost all of us, I think, will raise our hands when we think that all of us women, we get overwhelmed when it comes to even filing our own taxes. We'd much rather pay a CA or, give it to our father, brother, husband, etc. So it's very important to actually break that chain and have our own investment club where we meet regularly, take 2 or 3 friends and just meet every month or actually ideally twice a month where you're just discussing your financial goals, what are you doing, or all of your obstacles. I also recommend starting a WhatsApp group for the same, Power Coffee Dates. Now, this is something I've personally really enjoyed doing, and it has greatly helped in my financial journey and, of course, building my own career. I would request that you actually network with the female leaders in your organization and ask them for 30 minutes for a coffee. And there, of course, you can, take inspiration, ask them whatever questions you want. And here you will just gain so much more knowledge on, finances and basically how they have planned for their future. And if there is no one that you feel that you're inspired by in your organization, go on LinkedIn, just filter out to your city, and any female leader in your city, just send them a direct DM. I have had a success ratio of 6 out of 10, female leaders, they respond, and I've met them over coffee. And apart from obviously building my financial knowledge, it's been great for my own network. So not only my net worth increased, my network increased as well. The fifth one is small goals and celebrate your wins. The reason why I'm telling you to put small goals is that it's actually proven that, if we break down our big goals into smaller chunks, they're actually not so overwhelming. Even if it is to open a DMAT account, even if it is to close your, emergency fund, have that goal and celebrate it. The more you celebrate it, the more you'll be a part of journey and the more you'll be serious about it. And the final one, which is my favorite, which is pay it forward. Tell me, how many times in life do we get the opportunity to actually help someone which can make a permanent impact on their life and on their family's life? So girls, if you get an opportunity to help other girls with the knowledge you've acquired, please, abundantly share it. And also, from a psychological perspective, when you help others, it kind of activates the reward part in your brain. So it kind of reinforces what you're doing a lot more and you feel a lot more excited about it. I would like to conclude my saying that the highest form of wealth is the ability to wake up every morning and say, I can do whatever I want today. And that is the power of financial freedom. Thank you. And I've been waiting for years to say this. But you didn't hear the best part. I've been waiting for years to say this. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.